Having perfect recall with your dog is the goal of so many dog owners, yet so many dog owners wildly fall short of that dream. And in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 things that you must understand if you want to have perfect recall. Now, so many people, when they want perfect recall, focus on just letting their dogs off and hoping for the best. They're literally chucking their dogs into the deep end and then wonder why it's gone terribly wrong. And so many people focus on jumping in at the deep end and completely ignoring the incredibly important foundations that must be in place long before you even dream of letting your dog off lead in a real life situation. So let's look at what those 3 foundational points are that you must master, every single one, if you truly want to be one of those people that reaches that goal of genuine perfect recall. Sully, yes, 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 yes. Oh, good boy, good boy. And the first step is exactly this. It's having your dogs understand that coming to you is amazing. And we're going to be utilizing something called classical conditioning. Puppy, come. Yes, good. And it's exactly this concept that being around you is amazing. We need to condition those things together. So you need to find opportunities multiple times a day, throughout the day. Little Riley, oh, you're such a good girl. Where coming into you gets this response, where they're happy, where they're wagging their tail, where they know that this means amazing things. And even though my other 2 dogs are over there playing, Sully, hey, puppy, that coming in equals amazing things. Tails wagging, being around me in my space, always equals amazing things. We have to classically condition that so that deeply ingrained in their minds, anytime you draw them in like this is the response that you get. I'm not even asking for anything. I've got no food, no treats on me whatsoever, but they are all classically conditioned to understand that being in this area, drawing into me, is an amazing thing. That is the root, that is the foundation that we draw upon to equal perfect recall. Now, the next point that you have to understand if you want perfect recall is understanding the concept of a 100% cue. What this means is making sure that the cue that you use for recall, which is simply the command, it's the word that we use, most people will use come, has a 100% success rate. Because even if it fails once, that cue has been ruined. It must hold 100% success, because the only time that recall really matters is in an emergency situation. And it's usually in those emergency situations where the dog's chasing another dog, livestock, game, footballs, birds, bicycles, you name it, where recall goes out the window. So you have to have a 100% success rate. How many times have you seen people go, Sully, come, come on, come, Sully, come. But the dog doesn't come. The dog doesn't listen, and you have failed that rep. And then eventually you go over to him, you get frustrated, you punish the dog, you scold the dog, you tell the dog off. So then you're ruining all the work that you've put in step 1, and your new cue is now worthless. That cue has to carry a 100% success rate. So you should never use it unless you can guarantee success. And then in that emergency situation where maybe you aren't able to guarantee success, that has had a 100% success rate, and you can pray that it has 100% success rate when you truly need it. So if you have been working on recall with your dog and you have been doing the mistake I talked about earlier of expecting too much too soon, jumping in at the deep end, recalling your dog, and then the dog isn't listening, and you have failed reps with that cue, you need to choose a new cue and then set that cue up for 100% success. You can move to a whistle. You can simply change the command. It really doesn't matter, but it has to be a cue that you have 100% success with. So then the next step is, once you've mastered the idea of conditioning being around you equals awesome, and you've now got a 100% success rate with a new cue, is you have to start proofing that cue. You have to start slowly increasing the duration, the distraction, the distance from your dog to set it up to be able to work in real life situations. So the way in which I recommend recommend you do that is using the Fenrir Longline slip lead. That's really important because it gives you the communicative aspect of a slip lead, long line, so that you can use it for recall. What that might look like is, and because there's a long line on, we can guarantee success. So we can use our cue, because even if the dog considers ignoring it, we've got the long line to make sure we enforce success. But more importantly, if the dog chooses to ignore the cue, we can use little bits of pressure on the slip lead to first of all guarantee success, but also to communicate to them that ignoring that cue is not acceptable. And you slowly build it up, and ideally you build it up in such little steps that they never fail, and we just gradually get more and more advanced until we're in more and more real world situations. But if you find a scenario where they fail, you have set yourself up to success. To guarantee that success, challenge the behavior of ignoring the cue, finishing with a successful rep, and then logging in your mind, this is where my dog struggles. Whatever that was is a competing motivator for my dog, and this is where we need to work. This is where we need to practice. This is what we need to master. And you do not move forward until you have done that. Then, if you can move forward, superb, and you can build towards the dream of perfect recall. Some dogs are able to do that with nothing more than this process. Some dogs will reach a ceiling of distraction, competing motivators that you simply cannot get past unless they're attached to a long line. There are advanced strategies that we can help you with, and that we do help you with here on this channel to do that. But for right now, you should not even be dreaming of those things. They should not even be in your ether unless you have spent months focusing on mastering these first 3 steps first.